Welcome back to another episode of A Recent Study Suggests. I'm your host, Robert, and with me, as always, my co-host,
Sam.
We were going to record this episode earlier, but of course, it's always the case that like when you're about to hit record, the whole world decides to come alive.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, it was that it just started raining, pouring down.
Yeah,
and
it's that season.
Yeah, you would be able to hear all the raindrops in the recording, so we had to wait a little longer. The thing is, like even a little behind the scenes, these episodes are recorded quite a ways in advance.
Mm-hmm.
So we're recording this episode in late August, but you won't be hearing it until mid to late September.
Yep. Hurricane Laura is just kind of missing us, but we're still getting those random moments where it just like chucks it down.
This has happened before. When we try to hit the record button, just everything starts making noises.
Birds,
yeah, we have birds here at the house, and they would suddenly just like are awake at like, you know, when we're recording. No matter what time of day we're recording, it's when they decide to wake up. There will be planes going over us.
Oh yeah, sometimes there's trucks.
Dogs barking.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we found...
You guys also have roosters?
Oh, we don't have those anymore.
I know that some of your neighbors have roosters, so it's just all the worst noises you could possibly think of happening all at once.
Mm-hmm. But
they all wanna shine.
Yeah, but luckily we have a period of time now. I guess it doesn't matter to you guys anyway, but for us it's been kind of like a headache sometimes, just getting to record.
Mm-hmm.
But what is A Recent Study Suggests?
So A Recent Study Suggests is our podcast. And we talk about, as the name suggests, recent studies that come out that are kind of sometimes strange, and they make us question why they even exist. But also, if we find a study and we can relate to it a little bit, it's just us talking about it, and even if we relate to it a little bit loosely, just gets us talking.
Yeah, and some of these studies, you know, we've done some silly ones, but this one that we're doing today is groundbreaking.
Oh yeah, it's the first of its kind.
Yeah, first of its kind. So this one really is a recent study.
Yeah, so this came out on August 4th, 2020. And it's the first study to document a prey escaping through the butt of its captor. I'm
really surprised that it took this long. I would have figured that someone somewhere out there would have done this.
You know what? I think that so many people don't know what to do with their time right now, that things like this are easy to study over a period of time.
Yeah, so this study, it happened in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And really, there's really nothing much complicated other than the fact that, yes, this animal ate another animal, and then it came out of its butt alive.
I think that's really impressive. I was really excited when we found this study.
Yeah, you were really excited to talk about this. I wasn't quite like as enthusiastic as you were, because I'm like, what are we going to talk about? But then you were like, you really pushed for this one.
Yeah, I think we found this study maybe days after it was released, and I was so excited. I've been wanting to talk about this for weeks. So you guys are getting a treat with this one.
Yeah, things coming out the butt. It came out the butt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so in this particular study, it's about beetles and frogs. Specifically, the water scavenger beetle. So what it does is it climbs down its captor's intestinal tract and forces the captor to poop it out.
So the frog will eat the beetle.
Mm-hmm.
And in this study, it turns out that like maybe 6 or so hours after the frog has eaten it, the beetle will crawl out of the frog's butt.
Yeah, even more impressively, there's a video.
Yeah, it's like a time-lapse video of when the frog eats the beetle, and then, you know, like 6 hours later, you see it come out.
It's really cool. It is very cool because it comes out very cleanly.
It does.
Yeah, like it's not missing any legs. It doesn't look like it's been chewed up. It looks perfectly fine.
Let's back up a little bit. The frog and the beetle, they're in like this clear box, I guess, plexiglass or something.
Yeah.
So they can be easily observed. The frog is already in there, and the scientist drops the beetle in there, right? So they're in there for a little bit, and then the frog eats it. So then the frog is alone for like the next 6 hours. Then this beetle comes out, and it's really funny to me when the frog, after being alone for 6 hours, realizes that it's no longer alone. It like jumps once it sees the beetle. Like it gets scared of the beetle.
It's so unaware.
Yeah. Because he's just there, like, I'm eating, I'm full, or at least I think I'm full.
I think at some point the frog is kind of like readjusting its legs, like he can feel what's going on. Maybe it just thinks that, oh, this is a regular poop that's coming out, not something that's crawling out of me. So yeah, this is very cool. I think that more people should watch this.
Yeah, and I'll be sure to include the video down in like the description so you guys can check it out. Or maybe we'll even post it on Instagram and Twitter at A Recent Study Pod.
The biologists who studied this, they wanted to make sure that this wasn't just a fluke, because it's pretty typical for frogs to like regurgitate beetles and they just come out of their mouths, but they didn't expect this particular beetle to come out the other end.
Yeah, this guy just happened to observe, I guess, the beetle coming out the butt like one time. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder if I can replicate this. What a weird study. I don't know if I made that clear, or that's come across, that this study is just weird.
It is very weird.
Sure, it can be called groundbreaking because, it's really the first of its kind, but that doesn't make it any less weird.
This particular biologist, like I said, in order to make sure it wasn't just a fluke, he tested 5 more different species of frogs in the lab, and he found that 90% of swallowed beetles were excreted within 6 hours after being eaten from the butt.
Yeah, okay. See, he did the study. He sees that these beetles are coming out of the butt. Different frogs even, same beetle. But through all of this, it just seems like he just wanted to see beetles come out the butt. Because he didn't do any other further research, because even he couldn't figure out why.
Well, I think
why do they come out the butt?
I think that he was trying to make sure, okay, is it the type of beetle or is it the type of frog? Is it just this particular type of frog who can't digest this beetle? Or is it the beetle itself? So I think by testing it out with different types of frogs, he proved that, okay, it's not the frogs, it's the beetle.
It's the beetle. Yeah, I think so too, because he did put wax on one of the beetles' legs, testing different beetles. And he found out that all of the beetles that he did put wax on, they were killed. And then they were regularly pooped out 24 hours later.
Yeah, they were killed within the frogs' stomachs.
Yeah, so it was actually digested.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what he theorized, that that the beetles use their legs to kind of crawl their way through the frogs' intestines and make its way out.
Yeah, because the wax makes them more slippery and they can't grip onto anything to climb.
Yeah, so
that makes sense.
They got to be using their legs to get out, which I think is so funny. And I guess I don't know if it's smart or if it's coincidental. How do they know to go keep going down, keep going straight? To come out the other end.
I don't know.
Why not turn around and come out the mouth?
Maybe this type of beetle, they're used to being eaten by frogs.
maybe
it's so it's a survival tactic that they've just learned.
Yeah, something
over
through
time.
Evolution or something.
Yeah.
And I guess it's maybe the beetle's exoskeleton that protects them from the frog's digestive acids or stomach acids.
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah, it's interesting because you mentioned the wax thing on their legs. Initially, when we looked into this, I assumed that it was only because of its exoskeleton. That's what was helping them to not be digested. But a lot of it is the strength of their legs. But I think it also is partially because their outer shell is just very strong.
Yeah, it gives them enough time to actually make it out alive.
Yeah, I'm surprised that the stomach acidity doesn't make their outer shell erode at all, because they come out looking perfectly fine. They're totally intact. Maybe even desirable enough to be second eaten.
It does look a little weird though. When they do come out, there's it's not just the beetle completely dry, there's some liquid that also comes out with it. So I'm so it's
it was born.
It's sort of. It's a little gross. It does look a little gross.
The frog is giving birth to a beetle. Do you think that the frog would eat the beetle again?
I think it would.
Even if it kind of smelled like poo or stomach acid?
I gotta say, I'm not quite familiar with how good the sense of smell of a frog is. So I don't know if it could smell the poop. I don't know.
Can frogs smell? Is this a stupid question?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I don't know. I can't imagine anyone would just, off the top of their head, know that answer.
I
if
feel
frogs
like
can smell.
Such a dummy. Because we're not like Googling things actively right now. I feel like frogs have nostrils. They have what looks like nostrils, don't they?
I think so. I'm sure they can smell, but like, how good is that sense of smell?
Right. Okay, so let's say the frog went ahead and ate the beetle again. Do you think that the beetle would still be able to come out again?
I'm gonna root for the beetle on this one. I'm gonna say yes.
I think so too.
I don't know how many times it could happen, but I think that it could make it out a second time. Could it make it out a third? I don't know if like the skeleton or the acids would like take the toll on the beetle's legs or exoskeleton or its shell. I do think that it would come out a second time.
Maybe this beetle has been eaten before. So it's familiar with the feelings of the frog guts and like climbing through them. Maybe it just like makes the legs even stronger. It's like an exercise.
It's exercising?
Yeah. And so it would be, maybe then the next time it would come out even faster. It's like, okay, I'm familiar with the insides of this frog. Mm-hmm. I've swam through those guts before. So maybe.
Do you think the frog, like, is it full when it eats the beetle the first time? Does it realize like, oh, I'm full, I just had a meal, and when it comes out, do you think it's hungry, or do you think it still thinks it's full?
That's a good question.
Or does it ever think it's full? Because like, it kind of goes pretty quickly. 6 hours may not seem fast, but I think it's pretty fast for it to come out.
Well, I don't know. That's 6 hours of feeling like you're full. If I was full for 6 hours, I'd be like, yeah, I'm pretty okay. And then if I pooed after that and whatever I ate came out in its entirety, I would be very surprised. Because I chew my food. I guess frogs don't chew.
Are you normally full for 6 hours?
No.
I feel like I'm normally full, or I guess, just fine, not hungry, for like 5 hours.
Yeah, I'm not hungry for 4 hours. I eat every 4 hours, yeah.
No, I think for me it's like 5 hours, and then I'll usually get hungry after 5 hours. Mm-hmm. I don't think I can make it 6 hours. So maybe this is interesting. Like, when does a frog get hungry? Like, after how many hours?
Yeah.
Because this is something I do know off the top of my head, because this is a random, because we just looked it up earlier before this episode. Spiders can go like 4 to 6 weeks without eating.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Because we just happened to look this up earlier. So I wonder how long a frog can go without eating.
I don't know. That's something we didn't look up. I feel like that's something we should have looked up before this, but instead we were looking up things about spiders.
I'll look it up now.
Maybe let's also look up if frogs can smell. Also, why not? Look up if frogs have teeth. If they can chew.
So the first question, or I guess not the first question, but one of the questions you just asked, can frogs smell? According to this Welcome Wildlife website, frogs are sensitive to touch and have a good sense of smell. And actually, their sense of taste is also excellent. Mm-hmm. I didn't know this.
See, so if it came out of their butt, maybe they'd be like, this smells bad. I don't want to eat it again.
That could be like a good defense for like the beetle. Like it knows, maybe that's why it comes out the butt and
smart.
Not the mouth.
So smart.
Because, like it'll have smells like of bacteria and poop, and it'll be like kind of repellent, of sorts to the frog.
That is so smart. Okay. Now look up if frogs have nostrils. They do have nostrils. Frogs breathe through their nostrils while also absorbing about half the air they need through their skin.
Okay, so I just looked up how long frogs can go without eating, and it looks like it can be a very long time.
Wow. Adult frogs can survive for extended periods, like 3 to 4 weeks without eating.
So I guess maybe it doesn't even make a difference. Like if the beetle comes out of the butt, it doesn't make a difference for the frog at all.
Or wouldn't it make it hungrier sooner?
I don't think so, because if it can go 3 to 4 weeks, then like one meal can like sustain it for quite a while. So I don't really think it would make a difference. It would feel like hungrier.
But that's not very satiating if it comes straight out of you.
Yeah, but I'm saying that one meal can maybe last long enough.
Yeah.
So like that one meal doesn't make a difference.
Final question. Do frogs have teeth?
No, frogs do not have teeth. I need to say that.
You know this?
They don't have teeth. I'm going to say no, they don't have teeth.
Robert. Most frogs do have teeth, although usually only on their upper jaw.
Only on the upper jaw? That's weird.
The teeth are used to hold prey in place until the frog can swallow it. They do have teeth.
Looking at just frogs with teeth is really weird. They don't... They look really weird. Look kind of scary, too.
Oh, my goodness. Some of them look like cartoony.
I think those are photoshopped.
Okay.
Those are photoshopped to look like they're human teeth.
I almost wish frogs had teeth like that. I don't want to look at this anymore. I'm glad that now we know those things.
Yeah, I guess we figured out that frogs have teeth, figured out that they can smell, and that's actually their sense of smell is good. And that can maybe lead to a defense for the beetles.
Yeah. So it's possible that they might be turned off by the smell or stomach acid that's left on the beetles, so they wouldn't try again.
Maybe. I mean, I gotta assume so. We didn't do the study ourselves, and that's not something that this study looked at in particular. But yeah, I gotta assume that the frog would not try to eat it again.
Okay. I think maybe if the beetle came out of the frog's mouth instead, maybe it would try again.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. Like, that's how the beetle knows not to come out the mouth, but to come out the butt.
Mm-hmm. If you ever have food stuck inside of your mouth from lunch, and you find it maybe like 2 hours later, you would probably eat it, right?
Do you ever just find food
in my
your
mouth?
mouth? Like 2 hours later, I'll eat something, and I will know after I'm done that there is food stuck, and so I'm like picking at it, trying to get it with my tongue, like if it's somewhere back and that I can't reach. I never just find food.
Yeah, like
Do you find food?
Like you're a squirrel hiding nuts in your cheeks. Never like hours later. Very rarely. I think I'll find like a pumpkin seed or a sunflower seed
that you didn't know was there, that you couldn't feel with your tongue.
That I couldn't feel, I guess. But like typically after eating, I'll find something in my teeth, or I'll look in the mirror and I'll see it, and then I'll pick it out and then I'll eat it.
Yeah, most of the time I can feel that there's food with my tongue, and then I'll try to pick it out. And yeah, if it's already in my mouth from that like lunch that I just had like 10 minutes ago, I will just pick it with my tongue and just swallow it. Mm-hmm. I won't like spit it out or anything. I don't think that's gross.
You said you wouldn't spit it out. Would you eat something that you did spit out?
What do you mean?
Like you chewed it a little bit.
I chewed it and then I decided to spit it out?
I don't know why you would do that.
And then like what? Eat it like immediately after?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think like once you chew it, it just becomes gross if you spit it out then try to eat it again.
I agree. I wouldn't eat like a strawberry that I chewed up and then spit out after I spat it out. But why?
Maybe if it's just one thing, like if it's a strawberry that I chewed on and spit it out and then decided to eat it, maybe. I don't understand why I would do that, but maybe I would.
Yeah.
But once it's like part of a meal, you know, like if I'm eating like a sandwich, right, and there's a bunch of ingredients, and then I spit it out.
It's so gross.
Yeah. I think that's way more gross. I feel like if it's just a piece of fruit, just one ingredient, then maybe I would.
That's so interesting. Like, why is that gross? Because I just did a little bit of reflection. Like, why is that gross? Because it's not gross when the flavors are mixing up in my mouth. Why is it gross once it's out of my mouth and the flavors are all mixed up?
I don't know. Maybe it's like there's other things mixed in. Like it's been chewed. Now it has like saliva.
So you think it's like our own bodily liquids and stuff that make it gross? So we are what makes the food gross?
Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. It's just gross. Like, you know, I don't feel like there's really like a good explanation for it. It is just gross.
You think maybe that's like our survival thing? Like naturally, okay, you see something on the table or you found something that looks all chewed up. Maybe don't eat it because you don't know what it is. Like maybe that's...
Yeah, like you can no longer like identify it.
Even though we know exactly what it is.
Yeah, but that could be something, you know, like leftover evolutionary. Like if you can't tell what it is, don't eat it.
Oh yeah, look at us with our survival techniques.
We're doing like our own study and research here in this episode. You know, trying to figure out why beetles come out the butt. But I feel like we did more research than this guy did.
I guess so. Although it seems like this guy had a lot of fun doing the study. I know I probably would.
Would you have a lot of fun? Because like you gotta wait like 6 hours.
You do,
you know, at the least. For it to come out. Like you're just watching it in that case.
That's true, but maybe he was able to walk away and just like record it, do a time lapse, and then be like, oh yeah, I noticed this one thing happened or it didn't happen.
I guess
it's a very lazy study, but I'm so glad that it exists.
Yeah, it's a very lazy study. I don't know if I would call it a fun study. Like very lazy, very interesting, like us knowing about it, But I don't think I would want to be doing the study.
Do you think that if maybe one of us swallowed this very specific beetle, that it would come out of our butts?
I don't think so. I think
it would have to travel very far.
Yeah, and I think like our intestines are miles long.
Let's test it.
No, I don't want.
Test it on you, though.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so we talked about food that we wouldn't eat. Do you think that that kind of applies to textures in general? Like, are you unwilling to eat something that's kind of like squishy?
Do you mean like it's gone rotten? Do you mean like the food itself is squishy?
Okay, I have an example.
What do you mean?
Recently, we had a carton of strawberries in our fridge. And our refrigerator is a little weird. There are some spots where things freeze. That's probably because we have it on the wrong setting. And
the coldest setting.
And none of us have done anything to fix it. So my mother put strawberries in the fridge. And she accidentally put it in the area of the fridge that freezes. And she thought that they were rotten because there was ice on them. And I was like, no, they're just frozen. So let them defrost. So she let them defrost. And then they became soft. And she tried to eat them, and she spat them out because they were too soft for her liking.
I can kind of understand where she's coming from. There are some things when they're in the freezer, they get like the freezer burn, like ice cream.
Mm-hmm. And all you taste is the ice.
Yeah.
You lose the flavor.
And I feel like then like maybe this ice cream has been in here for a while. Like it has like the freezer burn and ice on the ice cream, like inside the lid.
But that wasn't even the case with the strawberries. They tasted like really sweet, beautiful strawberries. They were just kind of mushy.
Kind of mushy. Okay.
And so I ate them. And because I'm not weird about textures, I was like, this is fine. I don't mind eating them. I was like, don't throw them away. I'll eat them. But she was like concerned for me. Like, I don't want you to eat them either. But they were perfectly fine.
Are you fine with textures? I don't know if this specific case it's you not wanting to be wasteful or if there is like a texture thing with you.
I hate food waste, first of all. But also, I'm not weird about textures. Like I already said that I was willing to eat those squishy strawberries. So I'm perfectly fine with them. Also, I know that some people are weird about tofu because they complain that it's too squishy or it's too soft. I don't mind soft tofu. I don't mind medium firm. I don't mind firm, fried, baked, seasoned. I will eat it because I like tofu and I don't mind the different textures that it could be.
I've never had tofu, so I can't speak to that. But I guess there are some texture things that I don't like. Bananas. I don't like bananas on their own. I like bananas with Ritz and like peanut butter and stuff. But just on their own, like, I don't know, like the mushiness of it, I don't like it.
Is that why?
I guess that's it. Maybe I just don't like the taste. I think it is the mushiness.
But you do like the taste because you're willing to eat them.
Yeah, I am willing to eat it. I don't think there's anything just solely based on the texture that I won't eat.
Yeah.
Like, even if I don't like the texture, I'll eat it. Like, with like oats. You know, like oatmeal. Like, oatmeal is like really squishy, a little liquidy. Like, I don't like that, but I've eaten it because I'll mix in like bananas and like peanut butter. And I would have it for breakfast a lot last year. But it's a combination of textures that I don't really like. It's the oats and the oatmeal, and then I put bananas in there.
You put all of those textures together, and then you're like, well, now it's good.
Sometimes it would make me feel a little gaggy. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't just not eat something based off the textures. Maybe I don't like the texture, but it's never. I'll never just stay away from something because of the texture.
It's interesting you're talking about it being mushy and kind of soft. Like, you like scrambled eggs, and they're kind of mushy and soft, right?
The bananas and the oatmeal, they got the same texture no matter what, right? Like eggs, like scrambled eggs, they can be like different shapes, different thicknesses, some be more fluffy than others. And so it's not just the same.
Well, you can change up the texture of oatmeal. Just use less water or use less milk.
No, but it's still going to be all the same. Even in scrambled eggs, in one plate of scrambled eggs, there will be different sizes and stuff of eggs. It's not just all one uniform like shape.
I guess I see what you mean.
Right, like if you're eating Fruit Loops, they're all going to be circles. Circles like the exact same size.
So is it just that you're like bored?
Maybe.
There's no like sense of surprise, nothing to spice it up. You could add some cinnamon.
Nothing to surprise.
You like cinnamon?
Not really.
That would ruin it for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I don't like the texture. That doesn't stop me from eating it. I just prefer not to.
Like you would prefer other textures over it, but you're still going to eat it. That's how I feel about sweet potato. Yeah,
because the oatmeal that I had for breakfast, I would have it because I would wake up really early for work and didn't have time to make myself anything at home. So I would make them, the night before and just have them in the morning.
Is that what you call them, night before oats?
Night before oats.
I typically call them overnight oats, but to each their own.
Yeah, I guess to each their own. And so that was just the easy thing to make, It's something that would be ready for the next day. So it was just quick and easy for me. As far as you know, you don't have a texture thing. There's no texture thing for you.
I don't have a texture thing. I will microwave a sweet potato. I know some people say that they go gummy and they're not into it. Honestly, it's all right.
So, but are there any like textures you don't like?
Textures that I don't like.
Like, because bananas and oatmeal, that's texture I don't like, but I will eat them. Is there a texture that you don't like, but you'll still eat?
No. None that I can think of. Well, maybe I wouldn't eat soggy bread.
Oh, yeah. I don't think anyone eats soggy bread.
That's so gross. There's something about that.
Well, I guess competitive like hot dog eaters, they dunk their hot dog into like a cup of water and then eat it.
Don't you think that would take the joy out of eating it, though?
I don't think they're doing that competition for joy.
Oh,
I think
you're right.
They're being competitive. They want to win.
Yeah. I guess soggy bread would be the only thing that I wouldn't eat because of its texture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's it. Or if something was so hard that it was like teeth breaking. I'm talking about extremes here. So, yeah, there's nothing that I can think of.
Yeah, I feel like only like competitive hot dog eaters are the only ones that will eat soggy bread. Do you think they've gotten numb to it, right? They've had to be. Or do you think it's still gross to them and they're just like...
I don't know.
But like they don't even really chew. They kind of just like swallow and let it go down the throat.
I guess they don't give themselves enough time for it to register in their head that this is disgusting. So there's no moment for them to be like and throw up. So they're just like chuck it down, and that's it.
The soggy bread kind of brings me back to what I was talking about earlier, how the beetle doesn't come out of the butt just completely dry.
Yeah.
There is like some liquid. It is a little soggy when it comes out. Also gross.
Yeah. In this study, the one that we're looking at specifically, there are pictures. Not only can you watch a video, but you can look at the pictures. And currently we are looking at a bit of a slideshow of the process, and it's not very pretty.
Yeah, we have these pictures like blown up so we can actually read the study on the screen, and so it just blows up the pictures and we can really see them.
Yeah.
But going back to what you were saying earlier, like maybe it thinks of it as like exercise, kind of swimming through.
Yeah.
Like that's just a really funny visual to me. Like thinking that this beetle is kind of like excited to go down and like swim. Like, oh, I'm getting like my workout and like I'm swimming. Maybe it thinks it can be like a competitive swimmer or something.
Yeah, and that word swimming, that's not just something that we're saying. Like that's something that the biologists and the people who tested this also used. Swimming as the word to describe how these beetles are coming out.
I don't know if it's just me. I'm thinking swimming. I'm thinking fun. I'm thinking summer. Like I'm thinking pool. So I'm just picturing this beetle having fun getting out of the butt.
Oh my god. Maybe it is fun. I'd imagine like what other experience can the beetle compare that to? Like maybe he found a puddle of mud. Do you think swimming in a puddle of mud is similar to swimming inside of the gut of a frog?
It's funny that you say that about mud, because the researcher, he noticed that the beetles and these frogs, they both lived in the same like rice paddies in Japan, which are basically like little swampy areas where you can grow rice. Mm-hmm. And so it maybe when it's in the frog, it just kind of thinks of it as home, and then it's just swimming along.
Like, this is my new condo.
I'm renting it for 6 hours.
Yeah. Invite my friends, like, hey guys, I found this new house over here. Let's go. Let's check it out.
Yeah, it's got like amenities. We can swim through these like digestive juices.
Oh my gosh. Digestive. And you know what? That's so funny. That's what they mention in the study. They use some very descriptive phrases.
They do. They also talk about, I think it's something we forgot to mention, the frog poop, I guess. They call it excrement, but we can just call it poop. It does often have beetle legs and like beetle parts, right? So I think there is something to that theory that, that we were talking about earlier. Its shell protects it from the acids. How many times could it go through before the shell wore off and it could no longer like keep it alive?
Just like deteriorates inside of the frog.
So that does sound so sad. But we can just go back to thinking like it's a condo. It's just swimming. It's getting an exercise,
Just hanging out for a little bit.
Yeah. And that's really all there is to it, this groundbreaking, first of its kind study.
Yeah. We
found out that beetles come out frogs' butts.
This very specific beetle.
It has a hard enough shell that it can make it through and not get eaten.
This is the water scavenger beetle, and it always comes out whole. You're welcome, guys.
I thought you were going to say it always comes out the butt.
Oh, should have. Dang it. Opportunity lost. Yeah, so I guess that's it. And if you ever run out of things to say during your Zoom calls or your phone calls with family and friends, you can...
This is what you want to bring up?
You can pull this one out. Be like, hey.
You can pull it out of your butt.
Yeah. You're like, hey, did you know that water scavenger beetles come straight out the butt of frogs? Let me show you. Pull up the video, some pictures, a slideshow.
I don't really know how many people would appreciate that, but I guess it's a good conversation starter.
Yeah. I'm glad that we know this now. And I'm glad we could share it with you guys too.
Speaking of sharing things, hopefully you guys will share this podcast with your Zoom friends, family, coworkers, anyone that you think would be interested in, all sorts of like weird studies.
Yeah, because we're always bringing something different. It's never the same theme. Anything that's new and kind of draws us in. And if you guys come up with anything that you find, you can always share them with us.
Yeah, you can email them to us at arecentstudysuggest@gmail.com. You can even tag us on like Twitter and Instagram at @recentstudypod. And be sure to rate us 5 stars on where you're listening to us from.
Until next time, bye.